This is Canterbury News. I'm Brian O'Halloran. The headlines today. The Chicago Tribune reports that the 2024 Democratic National Convention unfolded without the anticipated unrest reminiscent of 1968, according to Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling. Concerns over police tactics were addressed after a settlement was reached between city officials and protest leaders, allowing a designated protest route near the convention. Meanwhile, on the occasion of Ukraine's 33rd Independence Day, the nation marked a somber 30-month milestone amid its ongoing struggle against Russian aggression. In other news, a piece on Illinois' long-standing political corruption highlights the notorious legacy of graft, with the trial of former House Speaker Michael Madigan and the impending prison sentence for Alderman Ed Burke underscoring the state's troubled political landscape. The Los Angeles Times reports that Norm Langer, owner of Langer's Deli, is considering closing his business due to the ongoing decline of MacArthur Park, which has been plagued by crime and drug activity. Langer reflects on the park's transformation from a place of joy in his childhood to a site of distress, noting the detrimental impact on the surrounding community. Meanwhile, the recent Democratic National Convention highlighted a generational shift within the party as Kamala Harris was formally nominated, showcasing California's reemergence as a political powerhouse. In additional coverage, a unique Girl Scout troop in New York City is aiding migrant girls and finding a sense of belonging amidst their challenging transitions. The New York Daily News reports that there is a troubling link between the recent spate of adult children murdering their parents and an escalating mental health crisis in New York City. 3 individuals, Shaboz Rajabov, Jaden Rivera, and Miguel Duval, have been charged in connection with these tragic incidents, raising concerns about the adequacy of mental health support and resources in the city. This alarming trend highlights the urgent need for improved mental health services and intervention strategies to assist families in crisis. As the situation develops, attention focuses on the broader implications for public safety and community well-being. The New York Post reports that a Catholic cleric, known as Powell Bilecki or Father Paul, is facing serious legal troubles after being accused of embezzling over $650,000 raised from medical clinics in war-torn Lebanon. Federal prosecutors allege that Bilecki used these funds to finance his extravagant lifestyle in New York City, including luxury meals and $15,000 on cosmetic surgery. His religious order eventually exposed the fraudulent activities, and he now faces up to 40 years in prison on multiple fraud charges. The case underscores ongoing concerns regarding accountability within charity organizations. The Boston Globe reports that a congregation in Somerville is facing opposition to its plans to establish a 26-bed adult homeless shelter on its premises. Neighbors have urged the city to revoke the church's building permit, claiming the project does not fulfill a religious purpose. As the church leaders stand firm in their conviction that this work is essential to their faith and mission, legal action may become necessary to resolve the dispute. Meanwhile, discussions are ongoing regarding the ramifications of the recent resignations of prominent female Ivy League presidents, raising concerns about gender parity in leadership roles within higher education amid campus unrest. The Dallas Morning News reports that NASA has extended the stay of 2 astronauts aboard the International Space Station due to safety concerns surrounding Boeing's troubled new capsule. They will now return to Earth in February via SpaceX. In other developments, the Islamic State has claimed responsibility for a tragic knife attack in Germany that resulted in 3 deaths. Meanwhile, a college student, whose World War II class was canceled, has embarked on a mission to gather stories from veterans, highlighting a unique approach to preserving history. Additionally, the founder of Southwest Airlines has emphasized the importance of love in business as the airline faces challenges and considers significant changes to its policies and seating arrangements. The Washington Post reports that an investigation reveals significant funding from the Central American Bank for Economic Integration to Nicaragua, totaling $2.65 billion from 2018 to 2022, despite the regime's documented human rights abuses, including torture and political repression. Meanwhile, Italy faces concerns over the Phlegrean Fields volcanic area, with rising ground levels and increased seismic activity prompting fears of potential eruptions that could be catastrophic, surpassing the devastation of Mount Vesuvius. In other developments, NASA announced it will use SpaceX's Dragon capsule to return 2 astronauts from the International Space Station, citing safety concerns with Boeing Starliner, prolonging their stay in space to nearly 8 months. USA Today reports that a training camp for the Bamar People's Liberation Army, BPLA, in eastern Myanmar is hosting over 100 recruits, including former chefs and journalists, who are rigorously preparing to combat the military regime that seized power in 2021. Led by poet Maung Sanka, the BPLA aims to overthrow the junta, participating in significant joint offensives. Meanwhile, in Germany, a suspect has been arrested following a stabbing rampage in Solingen that claimed 3 lives, with the Islamic State claiming responsibility for the attack. In Cairo, negotiations for a Gaza ceasefire have stalled amid ongoing Israeli military operations and a worsening humanitarian situation in the enclave, where recent strikes reportedly resulted in multiple fatalities. The Sunday Times reports that Sir Keir Starmer's main backer, Lord Ali, has been granted a pass to Downing Street, allowing him unrestricted access to number 10. Ali, who has donated £500,000 to Labour, organised a post-election reception at Downing Street, stirring scrutiny over the party's links with donors. In separate news from Israel, a group of teenage girls is participating in a settler training camp where they are being instructed on land occupation in the West Bank, led by veteran activist Daniela Weiss. Meanwhile, attention is drawn to recurrent food safety concerns as mislabeling of allergenic products is increasingly frequent, prompting calls for stricter regulations. The Express reports that Labour faces criticism over its plan to expedite the early release of up to 5,500 prisoners, including violent offenders, citing concerns over public safety. Probation officers have claimed they were given just 4 weeks to prepare for the impending releases, warning that this lack of adequate preparation could lead to horrific outcomes. A former Home Office minister deemed the initiative deeply irresponsible and dangerous, highlighting the government's failure to implement proper safeguards. Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood has urged probation chiefs to act swiftly, but the urgency has raised alarms among professionals entrusted with monitoring released convicts.